Berenstein versus Berenstain. That one is a little bit more meta, I think, than normal. Not everybody grew up with the Berenstain Bears, but Snow White and the mirror on the wall, and as heavily as it's referenced in every. I mean, I don't use mirror on the wall very often, but in everyday life,
every morning you do, man. You look at the mirror.
Every morning I say mirror on the wall, but now I have to fucking change that because of this. But yes, I think to me this is one of the biggest collective misthoughts of it all, and to me really starts to explain what the Mandela theory or the Mandela effect is to people. Is, do you know the difference? Is it mirror or magic mirror? And 9 times out of 10 nobody's going to know that it was magic mirror. And you can reference the movie, you can reference all the books.
Yeah, I think that one's definitely pretty prevalent, I would say.
Yeah.
What about on the movie topic? What about Sinbad?
This is one that really fucks my brain too, because I am in the camp of people remembering that this fucking thing happened.
Yeah. So for everyone out there, if you're not familiar, basically the misremembering here, the Mandela effect with Sinbad, is a lot of people remember a movie in the 90s, roughly, that Sinbad portrayed a genie type of character in a movie.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thought.
Yeah.
Or the thought that exists in people's brain. But that is not, in fact, true.
Yeah, a movie called Shazam that had fucking posters and everybody... I mean, there's a lot of different, like... There's a ton of thoughts behind this. Like, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the star of the movie, or, you know, starred beside Sinbad in the movie. There was movie posters out. There was all, like, it always, like, the mirror versus magic mirror thing is amazing because it's such a widespread misthought. But the Sinbad thing in the Shazam movie is so strange to me because it has so much detail. Like, people, myself included, like, I can see the posters for that fucking movie, and like
But can you find a picture of them somewhere?
Of the movie?
Like from the 90s?
Yeah, of course.
No.
It's all fucking all over the place.
It's not, because it's not real.
Look, whatever world you live in, it might not be real in, but in my world in the 90s, this fucking movie was real, and I can tell you what the goddamn poster looks like. So, like... I don't know. It's just it's such a strange thing, and the Shazam one has so many details to it. Like, there's people out there that have talked about the plot and the holes in the plot and what could have been better about the movie.
I think in this case, a lot of people are confusing it with a movie called Shazam, where another large African American bald dude. Is Sinbad bald?
Sinbad's black. Actually, I don't know. I was going to ask you if Sinbad's black.
He is black, but I don't know. Maybe he's not bald.
Accepted as black?
I don't know.
No,
but anyway,
I think he's got like an orangish hair.
Shaquille O'Neal is in the movie, and he plays a genie, and that movie is called Shazam.
Yeah.
Have you seen the April Fool's stunt that Sinbad did?
No.
Relative to this misremembering?
No, I haven't.
Well, apparently in 2017... You know, he's obviously heard of this misremembering. I don't know if I ever saw him comment if he remembers portraying a genie in a movie, but anyway, for April Fools, he kind of did like a trailer and like posters and stuff for this supposed fake movie that he did is pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can believe whatever you want, but in my world, as a child, Shazam was a real movie.
You know, there is actually a movie called Shazam that's coming out like next year. About the actual character Shazam. He's a superhero in the DC universe.
Yeah, that has the guy from
Zachary Levi, Chuck.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, the show Chuck, we were just talking about in our last episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it would be really funny. It'd be kind of like punking everyone if they put like Sinbad in this movie, like as a cameo.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they do that.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Shazam exists in my world. Don't discount that. Do you want a couple of other really interesting ones that I'm going to throw at you to see? And the Curious George one wasn't one that I was familiar with. And I know there's and this isn't one that I'm really that interested in, but I know there's also along the same veins of an animal having a tail. I think there's a Pikachu one where like the tip of Pikachu's tail is black sometimes.
That one is fucked up. Yeah.
But I don't actually pay much attention to that. But I know that one in passing. But let me propose a question to you. What color is the scarf of the Pillsbury Doughboy?
Ooh, I haven't seen this one. I think it's. I think the easy answer is red, but I don't think it's red. I think it's white with blue. blue and white?
Well, red is not even an answer.
Oh, okay.
So the most accepted.
Well, you didn't give me
wrong-
multiple choice, so
You're right. So that's fair. But red is wrong. Any way you throw it, red is wrong. I mean, you might have that misthought, but I think you're the only person. That's. I don't think we're constituting the Mandela effect that you think his scarf is red.
Team red all the way.
Most people would answer that it's blue. Myself was included, but it is actually white, and it's along the same vein that
There's no blue on it, is what you're saying?
there is no blue on the scarf whatsoever.
So I was half right.
Well,
I said white.
There's fucking two colors to the Pillsbury Doughboy, blue and white. So if you say it's mostly white with blue or blue with some white,
But isn't the Doughboy white?
The Doughboy is white, yes.
And he has a white scarf? That seems
He has
horrible.
a white scarf. Look, we're not talking about the marketing relevance behind that. I'm just saying the collection of people that are familiar with the Pillsbury Doughboy would believe, again, myself included, and most of the people that I talk to believe that he has a blue scarf. And there's been several instances of toys, whether they're unofficial or not, coming out that have him in a blue scarf, and the Simpsons make reference to him in a blue scarf, and when everybody talks about him or draws him out or whatever the fuck they do, it's in a blue scarf. But he has never officially had a blue scarf. It's always been white.
What sound does the Doughboy make when you push in his belly?
Well, I was gonna make a sound right there that I thought would, but I'm pretty sure I don't know if it is it. Is that it? I don't.
Close enough.
I hesitated. I hesitated because that was also might be an Elmo sound, but I think now that I've collected myself, I think that's probably the Pillsbury Doughboy. But
How many states are in the U.S.?
That's 50. But I know what you're getting at, and a lot of people would say 52.
I think that's just
Which is
bad geography.
Some of these are just, I think, because there's a lot of idiots in the world, and they have a lot of the same thought process. And the 52 state one, I think, is one of those that you can't justify one way or another. There's no weird theory behind that one. I think it's literally just a stupidity thing. What about, let's do some rapid fire stuff. Do you know the color of C-3PO's leg?
In which movie?
Any of the movies?
Well, in the latest movies, it's red, but normally it's gold.
No, it is not. See, this is one that fucks my brain too. Along the same vein of the Luke, I am your father versus no, I am your father. C-3PO's leg in the original movies is fucking silver, and nobody ever. All the fucking toys that come out, every reference to it, it's always gold. And all C-3PO's body is gold. There's never been, in my world, a distinguishing color. It's only been gold. And if you look,
well, in the latest ones, it's red.
Movies,
so just saying.
Well, okay. Well, sorry. Let's reference
Team
back
Red.
to the original
Team
Star
Red.
Wars. But that's another one of those where everybody remembers him being completely gold, and no, that motherfucker's got a silver leg. What about? Are you familiar with the one with the Matrix?
No, can't say I am.
So there's a line in the Matrix where Morpheus is talking to Neo, right? And they're sitting in two chairs, and Morpheus is sort of pacing around the chairs. And I won't go into the whole line, quite frankly, because I don't remember the whole line. But the line starts with, "What if I told you?" Do you remember that?
No, can't say I know this movie well enough to say.
Okay, well, great. Let's move on then, because this is a stupid fucking story if you don't remember it.
So what's the number one kind of selling peanut butter in the U.S.?
That would be Jif.
You almost wanted to say
This took a
Jiffy.
turn. This took a turn. What is the number one selling sour cream? Just fucking kidding. Go
Daisy.
Continue with your
Just a dollop of
Probably is.
Daisy.
Actually, continue with your Jif story though. Sorry.
But a lot of people remember Jiffy is the name of that peanut butter, but it is in fact Jif. Jiffy is a cornbread mix. But
Interesting. Can we talk about the Matrix one, because it's also a pretty fucking popular one, where the line "What if I told you" doesn't even exist, and you don't remember because it doesn't. You're obviously not in that world. But,
I can hear what's his name,
Morpheus
saying that line. What is that guy's
Lawrence
name?
Fishburne?
Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah.
What if I told you? And I could pull up the whole.
It's probably in a
line.
trailer or something. But
do you want me to read it to you?
No, it's okay.
Let's keep going, and I'll read it to you. Maybe it'll stem some memories.
So, how do you explain all of these misrememberings?
Well, I think there's a part of Chase, a part of me that says that this is all a wiring or chemistry in your brain that allows you to misthink like this, and we're all wired the same way. And because of that, it makes it seem like we all sort of are in this sort of same thought process, but it's only because of the way that we're wired, or the way that our brain works. However, the more relevant theory to me is that there are multiple universes, as we've talked about in sort of our very first podcast episode with simulation theory and things like that, and how different simulations and different worlds can exist. I am a proponent of some of these larger things that, and there's a really big one that we need to talk about before we move on as well. But some of these things are so large and so misrepresented on a large scale that I think there's a lot of, we can talk about the theory of multiverse in a different podcast, but I think there's a lot of multiverses going on, and there's a lot of, timeline shifting and stuff like that probably just really grinds your gears because it's not based in any sort of reality. But I think there's a lot more going on than our brains being wired for the way that it is. So
when you say multiverse for those folks, you think that basically there's multiple universes existing at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple universes existing in parallel that sort of have the same sort of stuff going on with a little bit of intricacies that are different, and that's sort of where you see the difference between Berenstein and Berenstain and Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes and things like that. So I think there's different worlds where things are happening the same way in parallel with little differences. Yes.
What about like time travel? So, I mean, I know this is something that Allison got pretty passionate about when she was looking into the topic, that this could be a result of time travel and, these minute changes, essentially like the butterfly effect type of thing. How does that land for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's along the same lines, because if multiverses exist, and my whole thought process of multiverses do exist, then you also have to believe that the little changes that happen in the other universes can also affect the changes in the current universe. And again, this is probably a larger podcast conversation about multiverse, but I would fall in the camp of Allison with, the fuckery of the timeline and being able to time travel and the shifts that can be made due to the changes in the timelines and stuff like that. So, yes, I believe that it's more than just brain chemistry and thought process. And I would assume that you are of the more grounded sort of scientific mind of this is just the way that we're wired or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into that, I think that there is definitely a ton of things wrong with the way that memory works for human brains. But if we just play out your multiverse theory or time travel,
okay.
I mean, help me understand this a little bit more, what you're thinking here. So if multiverses existed, I mean, how does that explain this? Are you saying that we are moving between these different universes and not even knowing it?
Yeah, I think if we're basing, and again, as we've talked about in episode 1 of Stranger Than Fiction, my belief is that we live in a simulation, and that simulation can have glitches. Well, I don't understand why that's funny, but we can go back and debate that all we want to, but part of that is, there's multiple simulations being ran at the same time. And I think there's a definite ability to move between those simulations or have a glitch that allows, sort of bleed over from other, we'll call them universes or multiverses or whatever you choose to call them. But whatever is running parallel has the ability to bleed in and affect our the universe that we live in and vice versa. I don't think time, as we find it relevant and as we have it, exists in this larger scale in the I mean, there's a lot of different stuff going on in my head that says, and I could see in your face as we're talking that you think this is all bullshit. But yes, I think there's, I don't know what your original question was actually. What was your original question? I went off on a tangent. Obviously.
I was just trying to get you to walk me through how this multiverse theory kind of played out.